You have seen in last year, a lot of students were sent back, but you can expect that to happen a lot more if they find something suspicious.
There are so many executive orders that President Donald Trump issued. Do you think any of these executive orders have anything that could impact legal immigration?
So that would mean people abroad who are going for visas will go through extreme vetting before they get a visa, and people who are here, if they're applying for extensions, change of status, they will also go through extreme vetting before they get extensions of their status or change of status.
Hi everyone, I am Priya from It's OKR, and today we have with us immigration lawyer Sonal Sharma, who's going to answer a very interesting topic for us, which is the future of legal immigration in the US. Given so much that's happening with the landscape, we thought it would be best to have an immigration lawyer answer questions so that we can kind of discuss what's top of mind for a lot of you and all the DMs that we've been receiving. So without further ado, welcome Sonal. How have you been?
Good, Priya, very well. How are you?
Good, good, good. So Sonal, we have a ton of questions to discuss, so we will get straight into it. There's so much that's going on. The first question that we have is, do any of the executive orders have anything that could impact legal immigration? So if I just reframe it, there are so many executive orders that President Donald Trump issued. Do you think any of these executive orders have anything that could impact legal immigration?
Yes, quite a few actually. One of them is extreme vetting, the executive order which asks to do extreme vetting for all visa applicants, all immigrants, non-immigrants entering the country, even who are here. So that would mean people abroad who are going for visas will go through extreme vetting before they get a visa, and people who are here, if they're applying for extensions, change of status, they will also go through extreme vetting before they get extensions of their status or change of status, what they're applying for. Second is President Trump also rescinded executive order for AI and STEM related that was issued by President Biden. So a lot of in last 4 years, a lot of NIW EB1A applications were relying on that executive order, showing that it's in national importance and everything. So probably that one will not be possible at this time to rely on those executive orders because those are now rescinded. But President Trump has issued its own executive order on AI, and this government is also going to focus on it. And one of the examples is that Stargate $500 billion investment that coming in. So the emphasis is going to be on AI, how it's going to impact, whether it will be useful to use in NIW and EB1A context, we'll have to see, but that's going to definitely impact. Third is America First trade policy. We might see its impact coming on TNs, E1s, E2s, E3s, H1B ones, anything that's related, visas that are based on the treaties. We'll see if that gets impacted because of the renewal of the agreements or review of the term, or if they want to renegotiate the terms of those treaties, then these visas might get impacted as well. The next one is expedited removal to the extent possible. DHS has been authorized to use expedited removal. So a lot of people who are entering, like F1 students, H1B students, if they find something troublesome in your phones, which they can look at, your computer, your WhatsApp chats, anything, expedited removal is is an option. You have seen in last year, a lot of students were sent back, but you can expect that to happen a lot more if they find something suspicious at the port of entry. And last but not least, it's not an executive order, but Lake and Riley Act, which has recently been passed in Congress. It's on the face of it, it's more related to the undocumented workers, but the impact of it is that anybody who is even arrested for a petty theft has to be taken into custody, mandatory detention. So it doesn't matter what, if you're on a visa or non-immigrant status and you get charged with just arrested, not even convicted, that will have major impact on your immigration status in the US. So a lot is going to be there, and these are the few ones that's going to like directly impact the legal immigration as well.
Thank you so much for summarizing, Sonal. The one I want to dig deeper on is the extreme vetting of the H1B visas. What steps do you think they will be taking? Does it mean site visits more? Like, what kind of scrutiny are we talking about?
Yeah, so very flexibility when it comes to compliance, non-compliance issues, right? If you are out of status because the amendment was not filed timely, under the new regulations already, if an amendment is not filed timely, it's considered the current petition considered automatically revoked. So it has become much more stringent under the new regulations that got implemented on January 17th. So, but there will be less flexibility. Like if suppose happens all the time that H1B forgot to file for H4 extension for the family, and in the earlier administration we were able to get nunc-pro-tunc filings where we could explain this was an ignorance, it happened, although ignorance of law is not excused, but they were much more like, hey, it's okay, it happens, it missed, they missed it for one reason or the other, miscommunication with the employer or whatever. But I don't see that going through very easily now, because now you're out of status and nunc-pro-tunc is a discretionary relief that USCIS can issue. I doubt that's going to go through very easily now. H1B extensions, even though the new regulations codify the deference, but still they could look at the extensions, and if they think the earlier case was not approved rightly, then they could have more RFEs on the H1Bs. We already discussed the port of entry scrutiny. If you're coming in on FHL, any of the work visas, student visas, 221Gs, while you're going for visa stamping, you're going to see a lot of those. Again, extreme vetting means they will check much more deeper. They're not going to be that lenient. RFEs, a lot more RFEs, Noyers, denial rate for H1B petitions under the first Trump administration was 25%. Under the Biden administration, it was about 3%. You're going to see it's going to go up again. A lot more vetting, a lot more specialty occupation RFEs. Now there is a bona fide job offer requirement under the newer regulations as well. So you're going to see a lot more RFEs on that. FTNS site visits, now under the new regs, it has become mandatory for the employers to participate in it. Earlier, it was not mandatory. It was optional, but now it is. So if the employer does not participate, a negative report will be submitted and you will see a lot more revocations. Prudential visa revocations, I think, will become more prevalent. Earlier, it was like for DUI or domestic violence cases, if you had any and you travel, your visas could prudentially be revoked. I expect that to become much more common, especially if you had those kind of criminal charges or cases against you.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. So, I think my question is should one even think about working with a consultancy with all the scrutiny in place? Because a lot of people on H1B rely on consultancies.
There is no issue in working with consultancy if it is a legitimate job offer. Yes, the new regs makes it more stringent for the companies who place their employees at the end client, because now more paperwork will be required, and for specialty occupation education requirement, the end client's requirements are the requirements that's going to matter, which means a lot of paperwork will be required from all the companies involved in that contractual chain, which used to be the case in the first Trump administration as well. But now it's codified in the regulations. So if you have a legitimate company which has legitimate contracts, which is going to legitimately place you at an end client location, and the end client is supportive of the documentation, then sure. But you have to be careful about the red flags. You have to make sure that you're not going to work with a company which has bad reputation or have done things which they should not have done or try to game the system. Because once a company is flagged, then the because they have data of all the petitions that are filed by that company as well, and your name could be there, and even though you haven't done anything, but you could be flagged as well. So do your due diligence. There is nothing wrong in working with a consultancy as long as it's a legitimate job offer and you could get an H1B approval.
Under the current administration, do you also think that day one CPT will have enhanced scrutiny?
So every visa category is going to have enhanced scrutiny, and no matter which administration it is, day one CPT always gets high scrutiny. So I don't think it's going to change dramatically because you can expect an RFE if you are doing a day one CPT and you're changing status to H1B. There is a very high likelihood that you're going to get an RFE on that. But whether you're going to get a denial on that or not, that's a separate story, right? We still get day one CPT RFEs, but most of them get approved if you can show that you were maintaining proper F1 status, you were doing what you were supposed to do, you were attending classes, you were submitting your assignments, you're not just using it to just work because you did not get picked up in the lottery. So because there is a chance of misuse of day one CPT, there is always high scrutiny. But yes, now we will see. Earlier, I was saying like maybe 95% chance of getting an early, now maybe 100% chance of getting an
Always.
RFE. Always high scrutiny for day one CPT.
Got it. Thank you so much, Sonal, for answering the questions. For everyone else, if things aren't going your way, remember it's okay, Yaar, because they will eventually turn around. If you have specific immigration questions, please leave them in comments. If we get a ton of these, we'll bring Sonal back and answer all your questions. Details of Sonal will be at the description in case you're looking for a consultation. Thank you so much. We'll be back with another episode. Thank you, Sonal, for your time, and we will be back again.